Hey everyone, it's Mike from Rogala Photography here. If your photos look like a tornado hits your hard drive, it's time for a cleanup. Today we're going to talk about how to organize your photos once and for all, efficiently, logically, and without overcomplicating things. I'll show you a very simple folder structure that keeps every shoot easy to find, whether you've shot for 5 days or 15 years. Now, why organization matters. When your files are messy, editing becomes stressful and backups become very risky. A clear folder structure is like labeling negatives in the old film days. It saves you from chaos later on. Too many photographers rely on Lightroom's catalog, but forget that their files still live on your hard drive. So if you ever switch computers, change software or rebuild a catalog, a good folder structure is what keeps everything intact. Think of your drive as your photo library and Lightroom or Adobe Bridge as the index cards that point to what's inside. What I suggest is that you keep your photos on an external hard drive. Now I have a Samsung, I think it's a T9 drive. It might be a T7, I can't remember. I think it's a T7 actually. And I labeled it when I formatted the drive, I called it the photos drive. So really only photos or photo stuff lives here. Now you can see I have a few extra folders here, but right now I have one main folder on here. So it's just called photos. Very simple. So if I click on that, now I'm on a Mac if you haven't figured it out yet. So if you're on Windows, yours might look a little bit different. But if you're on a Mac, I like this whole columns set here. Some people like to do a list, and that's great too. But I think, especially for demonstration purposes, this columns really works very well. So now when I click on photos, you see I have some other folders here. This one is just an extra folder. Don't really worry about that one. But I have my cameras, an R5 and an R5 Mark II. Now I also have the EOS R. I have not shot any photos on that camera in a little while. So that's why in 2025, I don't have that. Now, sometimes what I would do is I would have photos and then the year. And you can do that, but I'm going to show you something a little bit different. Actually, it's a new way that I'm actually going to start trying. I have not done it yet, but it looks like it actually will make much more sense. So anyway, I'm going to click over here on the Canon R5 Mark II. And now you can see I have dates. Now, one thing I'm going to change is that, especially I think I'm going to do it actually for the new year. I'm not going to actually do it this year in particular. But what I'm going to change is I'm going to start with the year and then put the month and the date. And the reason being is that this way, when your photos are organized, they're going to be organized all by your year. And I think it's going to be much easier to keep everything organized. In this particular case, I've been doing it this way. So they're organized by month. And that comes from when I used to do a separate folder for the year. I put the month, the date, and the year. Now, if we come on over here to October 24th, actually, you know what? Let me come on over. Where's the other one here? Letchworth. This is when I was at Letchworth State Park. After the date, I put either the location, if it's a landscape photo shoot, or if it's like a portrait shoot, I'll put the subject's name and maybe the location if that actually matters. Or I will put subject, like if you look right here, Superman and Batman. This is one of my toy photography photo shoots that I did here at in my studio. But up here, this is what you may call it, the location. Then you click on that, and now you can see here what I did. Because there was one location, I had two different lenses, one on each camera. So I had a 24-70 on my R5 Mark II, and then I had the 70 to 200 on the R5. So since I wanted them all together, I put them both in here and I labeled them R5, the regular R5 and then the R5 Mark II. Now, normally I would just have the photos in there and just like that. But in here, in this particular case, I wanted all the photos together. So I'm going to click on the R5 Mark II. And this is why I like the Mac, because when you click on your photos, you get a little bit of a preview over here in this column setup here. So, I mean, that's pretty much the very, very simple gist of it. Now, there's a couple different reasons why you want to do this. Number one, obviously Lightroom Classic, I'm talking about in particular. With Lightroom Classic, you want to get your folder structure set up ahead of time, because once you import everything into Lightroom Classic, it gets very, very challenging to make changes to your folder structure. So make sure you get it right in your folder the first time. And then when you go to Lightroom Classic, then when you import everything, it'll import that structure into the catalog, the Lightroom catalog. Now, I got an upcoming video coming out about Adobe Bridge, and I've been kind of playing around with it quite often. And I'm telling you, I'm thinking that I'm going to make the full switch from Adobe Bridge, or from Lightroom Classic to Adobe Bridge. And then you edit your photos in Adobe Camera Raw, which is basically Lightroom just built into Photoshop. And I'm thinking this is going to make it much, much easier. It's actually really cool because it's so much easier to change the folder structure, because Adobe Bridge is basically nothing more than a file explorer, nothing more than like just Finder here is in the Mac. That's all it is. Whereas Lightroom Classic, it's a database. It's a database. Okay, you create catalogs, and then those catalogs are basically a database, and then you have to import them in. And then to make changes, you got to do it in Lightroom, and then it kind of really, it can mess up your catalog quite a bit. I tell you, there's a couple times that I've changed stuff around, and what a pain. And the other thing too is, like, once I get to the new year, 2026, I will take all my 2024 photos, and I don't even know if I have any over here. Do I have it? I probably have some in here. Yeah, here you go. So here's the way I used to do my structure. So what I would do is that I would take 2024 and I would move it into I have a drive that I use just for storage. Because most likely I'm not going to really be accessing these photos that much anymore. And if I do, I can always just go over to that drive and then copy them over to this drive temporarily, so I have them. However, if I'm using Bridge, it doesn't matter. I don't have to really copy them over. I can just do it all right from Bridge. It just follows whatever folder structure you have set up on your computer. So it makes much, much more sense to use Bridge and then just use Adobe Camera Raw to make all my edits. And again, I'm going to do a whole workflow photo or a video on Adobe Bridge. Like I said, I'm really, really liking it a lot. But anyway, coming back over to here, and I'll click on this one here, and then over here, here's all my photos. What you want to do is, now if you don't have an external hard drive, that's fine. You don't need it, but just keep in mind that photos and videos especially, they take up a lot of room on your drive. So if you don't have a lot of storage, especially if you own a Mac, it's really hard to upgrade. Even once you buy your computer, you can't really update the hard drive. You can't get a larger drive. So I put them on an external, a 4 terabyte drive I have, and I just move everything over to there. And then once that fills up, then I'll move everything, like the older stuff, over to my storage drive, and then just keep doing that. You could always just buy another SSD, but then you got SSDs everywhere. So I just do that. But what you want to do is that on whatever drive you're going to set up, make sure you put a master photos folder. Okay, and again, I just call it photos generic. Then you want to create your either the year, you could do that, or you could do the camera. Again, I chose to do the camera. I'm pretty much mostly using just the R5 Mark II. But again, if I'm going to be where I'm going to be changing back and forth between lenses, you're doing like a portrait shoot. For me with landscaping, there was like, there were some eagles flying around. So I wanted to switch real quick to a zoom or whatever. It's easier to have both cameras set up with the corresponding lenses. And then after that, you put the date. And again, I suggest you put year, month, and then day. Again, I'm going to change that over this coming new year once. I'm not going to change it now. It'd be kind of stupid for me to change now. And then if I do, it's going to screw up my Lightroom catalog too. So I'll wait for the new year since I'm probably going to be switching over to Bridge by then anyway. And then after that, you put either your subject or your location. So I got that right here. And then if you are using two different cameras like I did here, I suggest you put them all under one folder so you're not going back and forth through here. And then the cool thing is, again, in Mac, and I believe Windows does this too, you have your whole structure all lined up right here. So if I want to go back to my camera, I go here and then now I can pick a different date. And then I can go here to the date and then I have whatever I have set up. So pretty much, I mean, that's pretty much it right there. Now, one suggestion, and again, this is something new that I am going to switch over to make your photos and your folders more organized. In Adobe Bridge, this is so much easier to do because you could do what's called a batch rename. And what you do is you could put something in front or in back, however you want to do this. Usually you put it in front on multiple files all at once. Okay. And you can rename it. And so what you usually do is you can do it based on your folder name. So it'll take whatever your folder name is, and it'll add that to the front of your file. Okay. So in this case, it would be Letchworth Fall Color, R5, M2, and then 2025. And it'll add that to each one. And then after that, it will also number. You can number like in a sequence. Okay, number your photos. That way, when you're looking at your photos, like right now, if I didn't have this folder here, if I just had one of these photos off over here to the side, I wouldn't know what it is. I'd have to go and open it up or click on it and get a preview to see what it was. This way, if you add that label to your photos, you know exactly what it is. You'll know if it was a location, if it was a subject, whatever. And then also too, it makes for searching. So if whether you're on Windows or Mac, you can go to like we have Siri, or I use Alfred. I use Alfred, and I could search if I'm looking for a particular a group of a photo shoot. Instead of going to go search for it and just go click on all the folders till I find it, I can just go and search for it, and all the pictures will come up. All right, keeping it simple. Now, many photographers, they build massive folder trees that look impressive, but they do waste a lot of time. My structure, it works because it's predictable and it scales forever. I mean, it's like whether I have 10 photo shoots or 10,000, this stays clean. And again, if you're doing it this way by the year, let me see, where am I here? This way you have all your photos by year like this. Now, like I said, this way, I kind of changed it up this way. I'm probably going to go back to the year, but I'm still going to put the year in in this folder, or in the date. I'm going to go year first. Again, just to keep it organized a little bit better. Also, too, if you ever switch to a new computer, all you got to do is just drag the entire photos folder over and then reconnect Bridge, and you're all set. And you could do it with Lightroom too, but you may, I mean, you do have to open up your catalog, and then you might have to tell Lightroom what drive you're on. It's a little bit easier doing it that way than having to go to each folder and each collection separately. I tell you, I had to do that one time. I think I had about, I don't know, 75 different photo collections that I had to go through and click on each one and then go and find it on the drive and then lead it back for each particular Oh, what a pain in the butt that was. So again, I'm going to be switching over to Adobe Bridge, I think. So again, you're going to spend less time searching, and you're going to do more time going out and taking your shots, and also more time doing your edits, and less time looking for photos. Remember, keep it simple. You could change it up a little bit, whatever works for you, whatever works for your light flow or your workflow. But again, just keep it to the point where if you look right here, I have the drive, I have the master folder, the camera, the date, and then the subject/location. I mean, really, the drive's really not changing, and your master folder's not changing. And your cameras, unless you're using multiple cameras, that's not going to change too much. So really, if you think about it, you only have 2 folders that you have here that you're really adding each time. It doesn't really get much simpler than that. So anyway, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. I tell you right now, I'm at $4.99 right now. Please, I want to get to 500, man. I'll tell you, I just been dying to get to 500 subscribers on my channel. So please, just one more. That's all it takes. And don't stop at one more. So if you get this, I'm at 505 or whatever, please subscribe anyway. I really want to get more subscribers here. Hopefully you have a blessed day. And until next time, take care, everyone.